It's been a hot minute, and it's been a rough minute. Hello, book buddies! My name is Izzy. Welcome to Izzy's Ink, where we talk about all things reading, writing, cocktails, and more. By the way, and more just means dogs. Life has been a little bit crazy lately. Life has been a little bit busy. I really wanted to film a more traditional booktube video for this week, but I was unable to because it turns out in order to film a booktube video, you need to read the books. I assigned myself reading and I still didn't get it done. That's pretty bad. A more traditional booktube video is coming later this month. Really excited about that video. It's gonna be on a genre that I think all of you should check out. It's a little niche. Stay tuned for that video later this month. So, today I really want to talk about outlining. That's what I've been focusing majority of my time on lately, and I just thought it'd be kind of interesting. Whether you're a professional writer, you write in your free time as a hobby, you think about it, or maybe you just don't care at all, okay? I'm sorry. I'll get you that regular book content later. I want to talk about, should you outline, or should you just say, fuck it all? I looked at what famous authors had to say. I asked Twitter what they had to say. I will tell you what my opinion is. Let's get cozy. So what's the argument for an outline? Why should you write an outline? Hi, third walk of the day. When you have a document in which you have a bulleted list, paragraphs, Excel spreadsheet, however you want to do your outline, if you do outline allows you to assess your story, your plot from a more bird's eye view. So you can sort of see it in a more zoomed out way. Poop bag is in my shot. The outline does a couple of things. It saves the writer time and a bunch of rewriting, which is good for us. We benefit from that if you choose to outline. You can save yourself some unnecessary rewrites just by figuring out issues in the outline itself before you write them. When you have your plot laid out like a storyboard, it's so much easier to see if there's any plot holes, if it makes sense, if those characters would do those things, influence the pacing. These neighbors are watching me. This is so awkward. I don't give a fuck. Whatever. Someone like James Patterson, he spends 4 months on a few paragraphs outlining his story. He chooses to write like a summary of what would be happening, and then he or his ghostwriter spend the rest of his remaining time writing out that story. While you may not like his books, he is worth $800 million. And he's done a really good job building an empire. So he is an example of someone who has mastered being able to sell stories in a really effective way. Now, I'm not saying that just because you make a lot of money as a writer, your opinion is worth more. I'm just saying, like, sometimes it's a nice caliber of success of the stories. My straw disintegrated. Ugh. In a recent article titled How Writing My First Novel Prepared Me to Write My Debut Novel, Finola Austin, great article by the way, you should read it. If you get the chance, I'll link it down below. She talked about how having a first novel that was failed to publish taught her many things, and one of the most important things it taught her was that outlining is so important. As she says, so many times with my first novel I had to stop writing or go back and fix things because I hadn't properly thought through my plotting. So I went on Twitter and asked the writing community about their opinion on whether they outline or not, and here's what they have to say. So Odd Media Concept said, I 100% outline anything before I write. I will usually write an outline first, which is followed by a first draft. Then I'll go through and make my own notes from the draft to apply to the rewrite. I am personally a little OCD, so I'd say that the main reason for my outlines. Oh my gosh, girl, can relate. This is Odd Concept Media Twitter page. They post a lot of cool stuff, so you should definitely go check them out. Thanks Odd Concept Media for submitting your response to my question. John Delgado also replied saying, I outline every scene, the goals for that scene, and the details I want to include before starting. That way, when I write, I can focus more on the details and imagery because the large-scale narrative stuff is already taken care of. Now, I think he's touching on a really good point here because I also agree when you already have an outline, you don't have to worry so much about big picture stuff and you can just enjoy the process of literally putting together sentences. I don't know, maybe that's a little bit nerdy for some of you guys, but as a word nerd myself, I really enjoy building sentences together, and it's much easier to do when I don't have to worry about what's gonna happen next. This is John Delgado's Twitter handle if you want to follow him. He posts a lot of really cool stuff on VR game design, video games, etc. in their development. And thanks for responding to my question. Kelly Doyle said, I definitely outline, but not before doing a lot of pre-writing. I find I don't really know what my story is about until I've spent many rambling pages with my characters. After getting to know them, it's much easier to form a coherent outline and begin a real draft. This is her Twitter handle if you'd like to follow her. She's a book publicist at Algonquin Books in New York. Thank you for responding to my question, Kelly, on Twitter, and you brought up a really good point, which acts as a perfect segue The argument against an outline. Published novel is also a form of art. Some people love to spend that time exploring, and that's a really valuable thing too. You know, they're enjoying the process of writing. Now, I enjoy the process of writing as well from an outline, but it is a little bit more mechanical. This is the downside. Trying to figure out what should happen next. You get to discover the story the way a reader gets to discover the story for the first time, and it's really fun. It's really cool to be in that mode, seeing how it's gonna play out. I know you don't want to be looking at my dumb face this whole time and that stupid bun, so I'm going to interject some clips of my dog. A lot of people feel that outlining takes the joy out of writing, and that's a fair point, because I truly believe if you outline too much, if you outline to the nitty-gritty, you may as well not write the novel. Then it feel like kind of tedious work, because you're like, oh, I basically already wrote the story, but now I have to actually write it. And Stephen King, outlines are the last resource of bad fiction writers who wish to God they were writing master theses. Damn, boy, he got me good. Stephen King just owned the shit out of me. He just roasted me so hard because my novel is my master's thesis, and my master's thesis is a novel. He just destroyed me. Stephen King really does not think that you should be outlining, and he is worth $400 million. Wow. Again, I'm not saying that just because you make a lot of money, the writer, your opinion is worth more, because I think that every single person has different stories that they love where someone else could hate them. So it really is a personal thing. And if you just Google anything, something like the New York book editors planning to outline your novel? Don't. Why I don't outline.
Wow, maybe I'm really wrong. Oh, and now we have why outlining is writing by the Writer's Digest. Okay, here we go.
J.K. Rowling, I always have a basic plot outline, but I like to leave some things to be decided while I write. That is a great way to summarize. Despite J.K. Rowling herself being a little problematic lately, this quote is a great way to summarize what I'm trying to say, where I feel that should have a general direction in which you know you're going, but if you outline too much, then you eliminate the fun exploration that you can have by leaving a few things blank. So the question really is, can an outline not only influence the pace at which you write the story, but is an outline a tool to create a better quality story? Don't pick up that rock. So what's the answer? Well, it depends on the writer. Absolutely nothing wrong with doing something different than your other writer friends or what you've read about online or from other writers. Quality of the story is most important. How you get there is however you get there. When I say quality of the story, I don't necessarily mean if you have a very large vocabulary, if you have a complex plot. What I mean by quality story is this. Do you deliver on the promise that your book proposes at the beginning of your story, whatever that may be? Do you promise to give them a romantic experience? Do you promise to take them on a sci-fi adventure through space? Do you promise to give them a chilling murder mystery? Whatever it may be. How does the reader feel? Oh, there's a baby crying. How does the reader feel when they close your book for the last time? Find out what works best for you, and you follow that. You do you. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to my channel for more book content. Thank you. Bye. Here's a painting of a butt that my grandma loves.